be the most brutal of them all.
It'll be good.
Are we live?
I think
I've hit the button. So
oh jeez, I'm gonna dodge a few already. Yeah. No, I don't know what you guys are about. I'm clearly on Team Todzilla. I'm wearing the t-shirt. I was always backing Todzilla. What are you talking about?
Yeah. You just wanted to up the confidence of young Lachlan ADAIR.
Right. The bad news is we are live. So, yeah, let's turn that down right now. And
comments up. We got to see this.
Safely say that we're underway, and it'll be interesting to see who's first in with a flying dig. But anyway, just before we get things underway between the four of us, let's just formally introduce the show. I usually leave this to our technical director, but on this occasion, I'm going to go diving straight in. It is show 89, isn't it? Yep, it's in the title. So,
ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the fix.
It's about plus 20 on 69, so.
Yeah, hey, maths and technical, eh? That's why we have him on here. Sharp, you see. And he's on a new haircut. After the other week, Ray, you're looking pretty swift today, mate. You look like you'd be faster with your head out of a sunroof than in the last.
Very fast.
Very, very fast. Unlike Lachlan last night, which let's leave that one for now. But hey, you can feel the tension in the room. You can feel the tension in the room. And ladies and gentlemen, Fix 89 could be a bit of a roast, I think, because I want to go diving straight in with, of the people on the chat, let's go around and where your bets were. We said it last week. John, what did you have?
I had Todzilla 5-1 or 4-2.
And on the other matches, what did you have? Well, let's just talk about the big two. So that one and Travis Alcessa, what did you have?
I had Travis winning. But I did say, watch out, because sometimes Travis just doesn't quite show up.
Yeah. Yeah, I went 1-1. I had, obviously, as I said last week, I had Todd winning in the main event match, or what was the main event in my head. And I had Travis winning at a canter. I thought Travis would win comfortably. So I went 1-1. I got one right, one completely wrong. Ray, what did you have?
I had Todd, and I had no opinion on Travis and Brandon.
What was your sort of gut feel on that one? Were you going Travis again? Or
So I was watching the live stream, and I saw Travis win the first one, I think.
He lost that on fouls, even though he.
Because I thought, and then I saw the second one, and I was like, "Oh, this is not." And I started doing my own video, and then I jumped on with Aussie Armwrestler John and Ryan on podcast, and I'm like, did he lose? What the hell happened? And today I just went back, watched that video. I'm like, okay, I missed it all. Yeah, and I'll be the first one to say, like, Travis looked small.
Yeah,
he did.
Like, look at his arms. That's not Travis you used to seeing. That was like, I don't know how much he weighed, but Travis looked small.
Yeah,
like an average dad.
He to be fair to Travis, he's not been in the lane. I think he's been sort of acceptant of that. But to be honest, left-handed, I still felt that he'd win at a counter. I thought he was going to win that comfortably.
How can now you make someone make a claim, well, he in Levan and this after this kind of performance?
Yeah, I don't believe he was thinking about it.
I hope he gets very angry. I hope he gets, angry, disgusted, and just shows up, starts tearing everyone apart. Then maybe now, come on, dudes, who would put money on it?
Well, it's where Travis's motivation is.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. To be honest, I think the guy's head's not been in the game for a long period of time. He's obviously an exceptional dad. He's done an amazing job, which, if you're going to earn a medal in the world, that's the one you want, let's be honest. Dude's got two savage kids at the moment that are killing it in football. Ezra and Tyson are both absolutely thrashing it, and good for them. I can't imagine a world where someone whose kids are performing that well wouldn't be so engrossed in it they can hardly get their head above the parapet to do anything else, to be perfectly honest, So I kind of get it. If I'm honest, I get why Travis would be distracted, and he's got nothing really to prove. He got to the top of the game on the left arm and was amongst it on the right arm. It was a surprise to me that he went down like he did last night, but you buy into the hype a little bit, you know. And I guess I did. Ray's gone into his mysterious black look there.
Don't worry, I'll come back.
Yeah, you're all right, mate. Just having a moment on fake taxi and straight back in. We've got a super chat just to kill some time there. Joe Mama has come flying in, and it's nice to see. And you see the little smile break on Ryan's face.
I haven't read it yet, but I can only anticipate.
In anticipation of what it could be. But Joe Mama is out of the blocks first, true to form. Fair play to you, mate. And he's put, Neil, I make more sense when I eat PCP lace mushrooms than Bowen does daily. So
I got a special one for Joe Mama today. I don't even have to do it. I can do it really lazily. There it is, right there. This fella. All right, just for you, Joe. There it is.
There it is. Early doors. Joking aside, how long do you think it is before another series of Delusional Bowen comes out, mate?
No, I think this one will be a powerful episode.
I'm checking like, every time. I set up all the notifications. I watched the whole.
I think I'd be surprised if in the next 24 hours it didn't drop.
Have you had any like people contact you in Australia saying,
Ryan, why'd you make that bet? Why did you do that?
No. Look, here's the thing. We talk about predictions. I genuinely had Lachlan on this one. I did. I mean, and that's why I put $1,000 on it. I mean, you're right. I lost $1,000 of my own cash. So
I mean, it's dollars though, yeah.
Have I what?
It's Australian dollars though, yeah.
Yeah, it was. Let's clarify. It was Australian dollars. Yeah. Yes, thank goodness.
Like a coffee in Norway.
But yeah, so I genuinely had Lachlan. I did. I had faith in the man, and it was. As I said it before the match, I'd genuinely be shocked if Lachlan just got drilled. And Lachlan got drilled. He looked like he was able to delay for the first 2 rounds, but then he was cooked. He was totally toast. There was nothing left in him, and everything from then on was just whatever, anywhere. Todd could have gone anywhere.
Let's be honest though, just before there's any negativity pours in or rains in on Lachlan. Lachlan did bloody well, considering he held up Todd for a little while in those earlier matches. And let's be perfectly honest, 99.9% of people drawing breath if they pulled Todd and it goes anywhere near that hook, that's going to happen. Yeah. And 99.9% of people can't stop him from getting in that hook. So there we are.
That was the thing for me. That was the surprise. I didn't think Todd was going to get into the hook as effectively as he did, and that was I always knew, and I think Lachlan always knew as well, that if Todd ended up here supinated, then it was Todd's game. I'm pretty sure the plan was certainly to keep him away. I don't think Lachlan wanted to volunteer to the hook, but he ended up having that as his only option, was to volunteer into the hook and see if he can survive for as long as he can. But
you hit the nail on the head though, mate. I mean, when we were talking about it the other weeks, if you remember, a couple of weeks ago, when we're talking about sort of how we saw the thing, how we saw it going. My biggest concern for Lachlan going into this, and my hesitancy, was that I didn't know anything about Lachlan, really. Didn't know enough about Lachlan. Yeah. Still don't. Learn a little more, but not that much, to be perfectly honest. We
didn't learn that much. I agree.
But the thing is that what we already knew, and what I was struggling with from Lachlan's potential here, was that in any kind of reasonable perspective on where Lachlan was going to be at, unless he was incredible, then Toddzilla has proven it against the best of the best. You know what I mean? He's been, and also the spectrum of styles. It's like we were talking about the other week. He's pulled guys like Marcio Barboza, Matt Mask, Devon Larratt, John Brasink, and performed consistency. His consistency is exceptional. He's always got, when your ace move is that you have best in class strength, it's a hell of an ace move to fall back on, because he's not too concerned if he does lose his hand and wrist, and if he manages to close his wrist, he really does have best in class strength and best in class side, and he's got exceptional endurance as well. So he's a difficult nut to crack for a lot of people, and has proven a difficult nut to crack for so long. And that was the thing that I was struggling to get my head around. But let's get a bit better perspective on it as we welcome someone else into the chat tonight, ladies and gentlemen. There's nothing that you can't really beat first-hand experience. And joining us now from the USA, the mighty Lachlan ADAIR. How you doing, dude?
Yo, how you doing, man?
Hey, Lachlan, do us a favour, mate. Can you just turn your phone on its side? Have you got auto rotate on, buddy?
There we go.
There we go. So, mate, we were just talking about the situation with Todd and that he's a very, very difficult nut to crack. I mean, obviously, you've just come fresh off that experience. What's your sort of takeaways from it? Where did he surprise you? Did he surprise you?
What surprised me was how much bigger his hand is than 2 years ago. Now, I know he wasn't, competition ready and everything like that 2 years ago. We discussed this before earlier. Like all that practice told me was I want the comp ready version of Todd. And it's different, man. It's different than how different it is with most people, if that makes sense. Like him comp different. Hand was thicker. Everything was bigger. His eyes, the red shot, and he was bright red and ready to go. That guy was in peak form, and credit to him, yeah. So nothing I can say. Refereeing was good. He was just strong as shit. So
his hand looked amazingly strong.
Well, that's
not what he.
In the setup, like his hand, like I've got a thick hand. His hand for me felt thick and like it felt like a rock. It's just different to way different from 2.5 years ago when he was here. It's a different man. I don't know what he's doing, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's that consistency that's been his hallmark. His trademark over the years has been his ability to sort of show up when the money's on the table and perform very, 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 very well. I mean, you can say that it's credit to you, Lachlan, for stepping up and giving it a crack, mate. And you gave it a respectable crack, Now, you went over there with the opportunity or the aspiration of understanding where you're at. How much do you feel that you learned from it, mate? Did you get a lot of learnings from that or not that much?
The learning I got from it was, again, as you just said, consistency. I just need more skin in the game, more years. There was just connection that he had that, like, yeah, I'm sure I held him up for a few seconds with my bicep, big deal. I couldn't get, if you watched a couple of the matches, I was like, I top rolled, and the second I went out, it just got clamped and taken off me and just, so it was like, all right, top rolling's not going to work because I tried it twice and he just shut it down. So all I had was bone line hooking and maybe going in for a press and like I move a shit ton of weight in those movements and I didn't budge his arm. It was like a brick wall.
Yeah. Could you find a comfortable spot at all, or did he just keep you out of your lane?
Yeah, he just kept me out of my lane. I just got it kept me kind of outside of my shoulder almost constantly. When I did get behind my shoulder to press, it was, I wasn't in here. I was kind of out here and pressing a little bit, I felt. Although I did look at some of the footage, I was pretty coiled up, but I wasn't as forward as I would like for a press. But even that, like I put my body behind it and I couldn't, there's nothing there. So,
Lachlan, did you feel the endurance factor of Todd as well? Was it just getting worse and worse and worse pretty quickly? Is that what it felt like? Or were you able to refresh and be strong?
6, it was just, it was done. Like I was cool. Yeah. And then as soon as it was over, he was out. So,
yeah.
In terms of sort of the pace off the start, mate, it looked like Todd was initiating. Now, was that early on in the match? Was your sort of plan to hit hard on him really, or to contain or try to contain him in terms of let him drive and utilize that attacking? Because he'd said on the call the other week when we were on that he was going to go after you. Did you plan to sort of try to allow him to initiate and ride through that? Not in a defensive position, but anywhere sort of an inch back off A side to try and collect his hand and then drive? Or were you looking to hit and landed straight into that hook?
Look, I was trying to get off first. I was trying to be fast and get on the offensive and try and get something on my side of the table. Look, the reffing was stricter than I was actually expecting, and that at the time I was like, oh, I'm not super comfortable here, and that's a failure on my end for not preparing absolutely perfectly in that strict position. So there was that, but no, I was trying to hit off. But look, the way I see it, you get someone who's super fast and you get someone who's strong enough, that fast person all of a sudden seems very slow. So that's kind of, I think, what happened last night was, yes, on a if you were going to test our reaction times for things, I'm probably going to be ahead. But he was just too strong. I just couldn't get any power down on my side of the table. So I just got turned in, is what it is.
When you've been practicing with the guys back in Oz, mate, have you felt like your style has adapted more to trying to contain them? Because of the fact that one of the curses you've got over there at the moment is you are by far stronger than the rest of the lads over there. And that makes it difficult to sort of blaze into guys, you know, because you are obviously able to contain them. Do you feel like that because you're in that sort of shallow environment where you're pulling the same guys, that subconsciously you've slipped into that pattern of a degree of holding on to people a little bit because you know you can take the hits?
Potentially. Look, the way I train is I usually let everyone kind of, you know, I don't want to hit fresh because it just kind of hurts everyone. So I wait till I'm big. I get everyone to, you know, run a road over my arm basically before I start hitting. But even then, I think there's no one in Australia that has that degree of center table strength. Like I'm normally pretty capable of moving anyone off center, and there was just no moving him. So I don't think it was a subconscious thing. I just think there's some ways that I can train moving on that'll emulate that to kind of highlight my weaknesses more so than the way I've been training on the table. So
fair enough, mate. We'll come back to that in a moment. We'll just knock over a couple of super chats. So Arm Wrestling Bible, thanks for your super chat. And he's just put a simple back in your box blowing. Thanks for the material. Right?
That's Arm Wrestling Bible. That's the man, isn't it? That's delusional road bound man. Yeah. Good stuff. Give us a timeline or something. Come on.
Timeline, son. Let's know when it's coming out. Oh God, can't wait. Massive fan. So Clark's 93, and he's put Lockie versus the West. Who've you got? Hashtag Arm Wars. Interesting, because I've got about. I've got a lot. We need to talk.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a lot on that one. Devil Raper. Neil, so when is Levan versus Bowen going to happen?
6 months. That's all you need.
6 months.
Oh, it could go on.
How much did Todd weigh? I kind of missed it, or no one told it.
He didn't get weighed in. He turned up about a minute before he had to, sweating and like he was ready to go. And then as soon as the match was over, he got his money and he left.
So you didn't get a chance to talk to him much after the match, or?
I didn't get a chance to talk to him at all, like 0 words.
Okay.
No one did. So all I got to go off is I think he said he was about 100 kilos in one of the interviews coming up to the match, but no official weigh-in. So I got, we've only got what he says, and all good. I guess he was 102 kilos, 100 kilos, 230, something like that.
Yeah, up close and personal. Did you? I mean, on screen, you looked a lot bigger. Did you feel like you were the much bigger man when you looked at him close up?
I was just looking at his hand. That thing has grown.
He's so like thick. Everything is
everything. Giant blacksmith, isn't he?
Ridiculous. Yeah.
He gave you a lot of respect, clearly, mate, because he came ready.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. I know that's how he turns up to every single match, and that makes sure that when you do verse Todd, there's no excuses. If you beat him, you got a good ass version, if close to what he would consider his best, and you're getting beaten by a guy like that, and he's got a match coming up with Jordan Sonev, and I think I'm looking forward to that.
How do you see it now?
I asked Travis. I said, "Look, how do you see that much going?" And he was like, "No one's beating Todd right now." So, even he said that's a different version than what he's seen. So I think he's on a bit of a tear recently, and that makes sense because of the roster that he's got coming up for 2022. He's he's on.
I think the guys that are going to give him major trouble still remain. They fit into that narrow bandwidth where they can blast his hand real quick and finish. And I think he's always going to struggle with those. Just the way that he's made, that's something that he can't adapt to. But outside of that, anyone who he can get any kind of close wrist position and get it arm on arm, he is right there. And that includes, Hadji. Anyone who he gets that position on is in trouble. And he's that consistency, you've got to take your hat off. 50, mid-50s, the guy's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. He really is. I mean, you can't knock the lad. Let's knock over a couple of super chats. Matt, tickle my limits, Larratt. Thanks for your super chat, mate. Really appreciate it. He's put, Neil, congrats on the 15K subs. Yeah, thank you, everybody in the chat. If you are subscribed and you support the channel, can't thank you enough. Really appreciate it. He's put, hope you guys are well. Todd is awesome and Lachlan did his best. Can't wait to see more from him. Stay humble, guys. Let's see a group flex. I think we can accommodate that. Yes, mother fluffers. Thanks for that. Let's have a look. Who we got? We got another couple of super chats that I saw pop in, so we'll nail these. And then I'm sure a couple of these will probably be aimed at Ryan, so we might see a bit more action in that direction. Let's have a look. Henry Bowerswall, considering RVJ has beat Comp Ready Todd before, what is Lachlan's opinion on RVJ versus Ryan now? Since he can't even feel Bowen nowadays, plus the two hands thing.
I think that was quite a number of years ago, and people need to start respecting timelines. I think people have very short-term memories, and they'll look at something that happened 3 years ago and act like that's no time at all. So the same could be said for Todd. I mean, when's the last time he versed RVJ? Like, no knock to RVJ, but the man doesn't work very consistently, whereas Todd, he's never stopped and he's heavier. So I don't put stock on matches that happened years ago, and I think the same could be said for every athlete, that if it happened more than 2 years ago, it's becoming redundant.
Do you believe that in the current climate, with the time scale that's we can see in front of us now, it's going to be March, is it 27th of March?
March 27th.
March 27th. That, I mean, it sort of shuts down a few excuses for any athlete to come in there not ready. So I think that with a very good chance of seeing a solid version of Rob, if he's focused on that.
We'll be keeping in mind it'll be 210 as well, 210 pounds. 210.
So you should get a pretty solid version of him, Ryan. From what you saw at the weekend, does that sort of set your nerves jangling at all?
As I set my nerves jangling, look, I'm expecting Rob to be in form. I know that of all the opponents that he's had, I'm probably the one that motivates him most. So the personal stuff that we've had between us will set a fire under his belly that'll probably make him actually get off the couch and actually do something. And that's good. I'm pleased for that. You always want the best version of your opponent. So I go into this match with the same position as I always have. I acknowledge that Rob is a stronger human. It doesn't mean that the match is over. That's one of the beautiful things about the sport, is that the weaker man can win. And King of the Table is going to be an event where there's factors that do greatly assist me. The strap factor. I mean, the fact that Rob was very hesitant straight away, already indicating that he wanted to get that rule change, is a factor. And I recognize that I have to come into that match with a game plan where I can't just be the stronger man. I have to create a situation. It's like Devon against Levan. He has to create a situation where certain things are possible. And that's what I'll do. I'll go into it with a very detailed and intricate plan that will be involving far more factors than just what happens after Ready Go. It'll be what happens in the lead up to the match, what happens at the warm up, what happens as the strap is being applied. There's going to be a lot. There's running fouls, all these things that will be used to the full capacity of what they're capable of achieving to give myself the absolute best chance. Rob goes into this as the strength dominant man, without a doubt. As I said, I spoke with John 2 days ago, and he said to me, when RVJ sets up with you at center, he's going to feel comfortable. He's going to feel like, just say go. This is John talking to me in a private conversation saying, this is how I think it would go. And he said, but your difficult point doesn't arrive until after the initiation. And he said, that's where you're going to have to win the match. is after the initiation with Rob, you've got to find that sticking point in the strap that you've got, that once you're there, it's a real problem. And he said if Rob hits that sticking point, there's a good chance Rob gets confused. And it's, is that sticking point going to survive, or is that sticking point going to break down? That's the real question.
I think it comes down to the strength gap again, doesn't it, really?
Hold on, guys. Yeah, you continue. Hold on.
Okay, sorry. I thought you were coming in with a point there, mate. We've got a super chat from Joe Momma, believe it or not. Joe, thanks for your super chat, mate. He's put, I fully hope RVJ holds Ryan centre table and just laughs in his face to end the delusional series. Maybe then Ryan can go back to being likable.
See, and even Joe Mama, that, like, if Rob just stayed centre, I wouldn't attack either. I won't attack. That would be a mistake on my behalf to attack against a waiting RVJ. No, I'll force RVJ to be the one to attack, and then I'll counterattack from there.
Hey,
wait for him to step forward and then derail.
John,
I have a serious question for Ryan about his predictions in the future. Now, I know I've been following your predictions for a long time, Ryan, and you have done quite well with your predictions in the past. But now, when it comes to predicting Australian arm wrestling matches, hasn't gone so well. So, are you gonna back Jordan Davis effectively ruining his chances at Arm Wars?
Well, I don't know Stoica Bogdan in terms of his power level. So naturally, I am going to back Jordan Davis. I'm going to back him in his ability and his aggression off center. And I know that what he brings to the table is tremendous. So I'm all in on Jordan Davis and backing him as well. But it is one of those things where patriotism does create a bias that you just blindly go with it, and people have to take that as a factor when they're listening to me, whether they want to think I agree with Ryan or I disagree with Ryan. You're correct in the saying that if I'm totally impartial, I'm pretty decent. I in the WAL 500 series, I got 23 out of 25 matches right and won a WAL Stradamus award for it. So I can do it. But yes, when there's this Aussies involved, myself included, I do tend to say we're going to win.
So knowing
Jordan,
now
good luck.
Dallas Langston's coming over. How do you see that, Dallas or Jordan? If they
well, Jordan and Dallas have pulled before. It's 2-1 to Dallas. The first time they faced each other, Jordan flashed Dallas, and then the next two were grinders, with Jordan taking Dallas's wrist and Dallas bringing it back from outside his shoulder and ending with a press. That's a real solid match, those two. If those guys face each other, it'll be after they've had their first round. So it'll really come down to who's had more work in their arm. Jordan is the type of arm wrestler that has the ability, and he's more likely to end matches quickly. But Dallas has a lot more power in the arm than Jordan. But Dallas has got to get through Frode. So I look at that and think, ooh, if Dallas gets dug down in a war with Frode, which, let's be honest, who doesn't? Then he is going to have significant work on him. And if Jordan Davis takes his hand in the final, let's say Jordan Davis got through Stoica, it's a real fascinating situation, because how much work is on Jordan's arm after Stoica? I don't know, but it's hard with those unknown factors of the fatigue levels. But if it was fresh Dallas and Jordan, I would see it going very similar to the way they pulled in 2018. Jordan taking Dallas's wrist, Dallas getting a stop, and then a war. So
I just got to say, I got to go out. We're all going out to dinner with Travis and stuff like that. So I got a couple minutes if there's anything that you wanted to talk about.
Hey, I have a question. Like, give me your game plan. Like your game plan. Like, what was the plan for first 2 rounds at least?
First 2 rounds. First one, I wanted to top roll him, hard diagonal, get off first, take his hand, and try and just flash into the pad. That was number
without
one.
the strap. Without the strap.
Yeah. Without the strap. Yeah. Because I wanted to expose his hand without the strap. I didn't want him to be able to secure his wrist while using the strap. So I wanted to get some outer strap stuff done with the presumption that my hand was going to be stronger than his, which proved not well, because when I had to slip out the bottom, as you saw, at the top roll, I went, shit.
I think everyone saw that and we're like,
oh yeah, and I had to jump straight down. So then that started making me going, okay, we'll try load up some back pressure in the start for round 2. In the strap, and then just come down hard wrist flexion and just see if I could just push him over and just rotate him off the go, which will give me access to his bicep a little bit more. But he just squeezed and clamped and he just shut my pronation down. So, and I felt it, my brachialis, it just went nut, like it's just not there. So then I was like, fuck it, I'm going to bone line him. Because that's all I had, was just I'm going to hook him. And I know that was not ideal against Todd, but I didn't, there's not a whole lot you can do when your ace is kind of shut down. You go, all right, let's go in deep with him and see if I can get it on my side of the table. Maybe I can.
You looked respectable in there, mate, as well. I want to say that of all the people that do go into hooks with Todd Hutchins, when he's prepared like that, you held your own pretty well. So well done.
I mean, thanks, but I held him up for a couple of seconds. But once he started driving to the pad, I just went, like, my wrist was up and like, okay, maybe kind of twist him and get it. And then he just surged again and just, boom. And then 4th round, I kind of tweaked my shoulder, holding him up in this position and just, So it's not badly injured. I think it's just a strain. So no biggie. But, and then round 4 and 5, 5 and 6, he didn't give a shit. He just kind of, we didn't really negotiate that hard in the grip. I thought, okay, let's just go from here, and couldn't dig out, couldn't do nothing. So
it's terrible when the plan breaks and you're like, what else? What else do I have?
Well, that was the plan. Like, my top rod don't work, hook him. If that don't work, press him. If that don't work, well, you've lost. When people say he did the same thing against him, I go, nah, I tried 3 different things and he just sucked me into the same spot every time. So there.
Neil, we can't hear you, mate.
It's nice sometimes not to hear Neil. I'll just want to say it.
So let's just, before Lachlan's got to go, let me hand a minute so I can just flip right off.
You got you now.
Exia de Novo with a question for Lachlan. He's put, any advice on pain inside of the hand? And are you discounting your programs now, Lachlan? You all have a great day. That's like kind of
counting him. I don't think I'll get as much.
Great day.
Maybe after that comment, you put your dick in it. See how that goes.
That's what you get. That's what you get.
Let's go.
Absolute quality. I love a bit of super chat action on here. So let's have a look. I want to just here we go. Harry Venables. Congrats, Ryan. Another completely wrong prediction. The fans are all coming in for Ryan tonight. But joking aside, I want to just sort of, before you go, Lachlan, touch base on where you would like your next logical step to be in terms of who you'd face.
Well, that next logical step is just to clean everyone up at home. So there's no Ben Carroll, texting me saying that he hasn't been able to do nothing for 2 years and whatever. He got a bit gripey about a couple of comments I made. So, I've got to have that match just to shut that conversation down. Then Mate, I guess Mate's always keen, and we have Over the Top in April. So hopefully, if it interests Ben enough, he'll be able to come over to Queensland and go for that honey tournament. Then cool, I'll get to hit 2 birds with 1 stone. Either way, I think Mate is probably the next logical match, to be honest, and clean up the Southern Hemisphere. And then by that time that happens, I'll hopefully be coming back international. So, yeah.
Zloty at the end of the year in Malaysia, I think. So,
yes.
How's the arms?
Yeah, I'll do that. That's Malaysia. That's super close. I know it'll be, not as stacked of a roster because it's Malaysia, but hell, it's Zloty. It's international. Doing it.
Do you have any damage in your arms at all, Lachlan?
In my arm, no. I've got a little tweak in my side shoulder, but it's just nothing's torn. It's just
nothing damaged, just a little tweaked.
Yeah, a little Like I've been working.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
But no, all good.
Fair play to you, mate. You can't argue with that. You gave it your best crack. But I know you've got to head off, Lachlan. But thank you for taking the time out and coming on the show, mate. And thanks for the match and for giving us all something to talk about. Greatly appreciated. And to be fair, I for one can't wait to see you pull again, brother. Can't wait to see you in action. I got a couple of very interesting prospects that I'd like to see you again, so we can talk about that.
Have fun.
I'm fired up to get some wins under my belt after that. So I'm just looking forward to get home, start training again. And
when are you home, mate? When are you home?
Wednesday morning.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Yeah. So I got 21 hours of brutal flights to get home, and then crash. And I'll be training next week probably. So
yeah.
Now, something funny that I just noticed in the chat is that Sandris Sedis put a comment in there that was so vicious that he's got himself banned and shut down by.
Yeah.
I didn't see the comment. I didn't see the comment, but it's just come up.
It probably deserved one of these. You're
doing it off spec anyway. Mate.
I think Sandris has a little secret to tell everyone.
I think I'm going to send Sandris Sedis the join link. That's what I think I'm going to do.
I'm going to you tell Sandris to probably get that plug out of his butt first. I know he likes it there.
Have you really got to go, Lachlan? Because you could tell Travis to cough and I'll get Sandris on here and we can light this thing right up.
That's all right. It's good that I got to go because then he gets to keep his plug in, and that's his place. It's his safe place. It's just leave him there.
Oh my God! Order takeout, son. Let me get him on. Let's go.
I gotta go. Have fun, guys.
All right, mate. Take it easy.
Yeah,
See you in a bit.
Thank you. Bye.
Yes.
Everybody in the chat want me to send the link over to Sandris Sedis. Should I send him the join link? I think I'm going to send him the join link. Let's get caught up on super chat. Sandris, stand by if you're at your email, mate. I'm going to send you the join link, and we'll have some fun with this one. Just see how bad he did go off because we didn't get the chat, so we'll see.
So it was something about Asian athletes. I think I'm picking up in the comments. Yeah.
Okay, here we go. So eHawk42, thanks for your super chat. Let me just read. It's Neil. Do you think between Lachlan and Ryan, Lachlan versus Todd, and Bowen's anti-vax fanaticism, that we can take anything that Ryan ever says seriously? Okay. And I love how he's put Neil, do you think?
Yeah, Neil.
If you're asking,
it's all on you, Neil.
Yeah, Neil. If you're asking me for would I follow one of Ryan's betting predictions?
No.
You actually had the opportunity to be my opposition in this bet, Neil.
No,
Yeah.
I told
You
you
were the
last
first
week.
one there. You could have taken it.
I told you last week.
You.
I told you last week that I've grown to like Lachlan a lot, and I actually felt bad that Lachlan, as everybody knows, I like men. You remember when
In a strap.
Yeah, that's it. And that's it's grown a bit since then. But all I can say is I felt a little bit bad publicly backing against him because he's a good dude. But I did say the other week I struggled to see a lane. The other thing I said was that I also don't know anything about Lachlan yet, and I don't. Never pulled Lachlan, and I've not really seen him pull anyone else that I know a great deal about in terms of their level outside of what we saw yesterday. And I didn't learn a great deal from that because it went how I expected. So I really still need to see Lachlan do more with more diverse arm wrestlers than I know their level. I think that one of the biggest problems is, probably for you as well, Ryan, is you're making predictions based upon only having seen them pull guys in your local environment. So it's easy to fall into that, okay, well, this is the level and we must be at this level. When actually, I always remember my first time when I won the British Nationals, went to Worlds, my first time at Worlds. And I went over there thinking I was the all singing, all dancing, I thought, yeah, I'm going to do pretty well here. And the first time at Worlds, I was only a puppy, but I remember going up there, pulled a Georgian dude first round, got absolutely leathered. And I remember thinking, okay.
Oh, I remember. I had a similar experience against. I got to pull a Russian in 2015 WAF Worlds, and I was number 2 in Australia at the time, and I gripped this Russian, and I could feel before the go. Oh, it's over. It's over before the go. I can't do anything. It's like all lanes are well and truly shut, and it naturally went very quickly that way. So
it's the whole biting off what you can chew, and I want to open that up in a minute with John and Ray and just get their opinions on that whole scenario, because I've been publicly on my own show when I've done the solo saying that I've got a certain feeling about just matches being put on for the sake of matches, and I think you've got to be a little careful with that, because sometimes, in my opinion, and I know it's probably not a popular opinion, and I might be on my own here, but I invest a lot of time in trying to make matches as close as they can be and as good as they can be. And I do think we've got to be a little careful to not fall into the trap of just making matches when they're not necessarily closely contested matches. That's my only concern, and I want to open that up a little bit more in a minute. But we'll just knock over these super chats, catch up on that, and then we'll jump into that one. So V Porsche, thanks for your super chat. He's put cold shower for Lachlan for sure, but he has balls calling out Todd, who everyone avoids like the plague. I just think Todd was a very strong that night. Yeah, and every night it would appear, mate. He doesn't have many bad ones. I mean, you look at Todd's losses; they are few and they are far between. And when he's in, and I'm talking about the matches when he comes in ready, you've got a situation where he's lost to Hadji Zaloyev, who is as elite as it gets. And even then, I feel like with a couple of technical tweaks or a couple of different starts, he wins that match as well. So, dude doesn't have many bad days. Joe Momo with a super chat. Lachlan, tell Travis to deliver that baby he's carrying. I don't think he didn't look that fat, did he?
No.
He looks skinny for Travis.
Yeah, he looks skinny for Travis.
Yeah. Can't believe it. Lachlan's just left and some of these chats have come in from him. So Juji Mugu with a super chat. Thanks, brother. He's put, Lachlan, be careful of Bowen's delusion. It's as contagious as Omicron COVID. Blue, the Indian accent session with your wife was hilarious. Very entertaining. Chicken Vindaloo, no madras.
Yeah, he had a good time.
What, have you done a show with your missus?
Yeah, we did a live show with Joanne, and and it was Ask Us Anything, and the crowd ended up asking us to do accents from all the different characters in the arm wrestling, and Indian was our best apparently.
Nice work. Go on, throw me down a quick Ray.
A quick, they didn't get me to do Ray, but I mean, it's just, what does Ray sound like?
That guy is so thick. So how do you say thick? Say thick. Thick. That's a good
I can do wrist. Giannis, I can do wrist. Giannis wants wrist. That's all I can
That sounds like Giannis. That
sounds like
Giannis.
That was meant to be Giannis then. Wrist.
Side pressure.
Loading. Side pressure.
Pressure. So we got Sap the Bee. Holy Sap the Bee lives. I haven't seen Sap the Bee on anything for a while. Sap the Bee, how you doing, dude? He's put super chat first. Hey, Neil, based on how yesterday's match went and how Lachlan's wrist flopped, do you think RVJ versus Lachlan would go 6-0? In my opinion, RVJ beats him easier. I think RVJ and Lachlan is a very interesting match, and I do believe that RVJ is very much in that match, yes. Very much alive in that match. I think, as I say, stylistically, I do think RVJ, when he comes ready, is a handful for most people. It's a very interesting matchup. Very interesting matchup. Sandra Sedis has just come back and said, sleeping, and he can't be bothered.
Lazy bastard.
Oh, wait a minute.
Lazy wanker.
There you go. Get him on here, Ray. Come on.
Hey, I just want to say that your epic predictions so far, Ryan, have made you fall so far from grace that people now want to see me and you right-handed. That's how bad it's getting for you right now.
Well, I don't know how bad or good you are. I'm the same in terms of we've never gripped, we've never met. I don't know. I know you're a lefty, but yeah, well, maybe a bottom eight. Maybe I'll be back in the bottom eight tournament before we know it.
In no time.
We'll meet up.
Ryan's like, back to the basics.
Oh, so much, so much hope in it. Honestly, this next 6 months could be an exciting time. There's so much. As long as you can travel, Ryan, that's the biggest issue. We need COVID to jog on. Otherwise, you're going to be grounded. But we just had a super chat from Insane Fame NYC. Any of you pulled against NYC legend Jason Vale? What can you say about him? Yes, I have arm wrestled with Jason. We never met in a tournament, but I've arm wrestled with Jason many times on the practice table. And the only thing I can say about Jason Vale is the guy was the greatest strap arm wrestler I've ever encountered in my life. Lovely individual, genuinely unique character. And I can honestly tell you, it's a tragedy that guy has died as young as he has. He had a tough life. He went through a great deal in his career. Very few arm wrestlers I've met had more potential and were as genuinely unique as Jason Vale was. He's one of the few men that I ever arm wrestled, got into a very strong position in a strap, and he disabled me a couple of times. And I learned a great deal about pulling in the strap from Jason. He was kind enough to go through some stuff with me. And RIP. Great dude, magnificent arm wrestler, one of the best of us. And it's a tragedy he's gone early, is what I would say about Jason. Yeah.
You got a record super chatting, I think, there, Neil.
Really? Sorry, guys, I haven't even looked.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was just throwing shit. And wow, Mr. Percolate 80. Thank you very, very much. My good Lord.
Neil's buying candy for all of us.
Good Lord. That's going into our
Finally, we'll get that ice cream.
That's where that's going.
Like, get on
super chat. All going towards Iron House. That's where
we get the good whiskey now.
Believe me, that's where these are going. And mate, thank you so much. Not even a question on there. Thank you so much for that super chat, mate. So appreciated. Sean Brophy, another one. Great show, boys. Can we get a moment of silence for Ryan? I think we can do that. Let's throw it
for $100 super chat. It should be, I want a whole minute, lads.
Yeah, I think we will genuinely do a 30-second silence for that one. Here we go. And it can be a combined one. It can be 30 seconds for Ryan and his prickability, and 30 seconds for Danny Tesh.
Do I have to be silent during my own silence?
Oh, you prick. You cocked it up. Let's go again. But we'll go again.
Ryan is so disrespectful.
Oh, what a peanut.
Brian Bowen cannot keep his mouth shut on an arm wrestling show for 30 seconds. It's not possible.
In the 30 seconds that we're doing for Danny Tesh, know that this show is brought to you by the greatest beef jerky on planet Earth, Western Survivor, ladies and gentlemen. 30 seconds. Oh, you bastard, Ryan. We were at 26 and you broke.
It's too much, dude. It's too much.
Absolute stroker. Sean had put $100 super chat in and you blew it. You penis. Right. Anyway. Amazing. So let's just get into a little bit of what I was talking about earlier. On the whole, I'm going to arm wrestle the guy who's best in the world, regardless of whether I am thing. Where do we stand here? Let's go with John first.
If you're going to say the question again.
So if you're in a situation where you're calling out the guy who is the best in the world, they're right there. Okay.
Yeah.
So you've got a guy who is truly world elite level. Mm-hmm. So let's say we've got Ryan and he's going to call out Sasho.
Yeah.
What's your sort of opinions of that? How do you view that? Do you sort of think that it's a viable match for the arm wrestling community, not for Ryan? I understand that for Ryan it'd be a great opportunity. We got a guy that'll be coming on the show soon. His name is Kirsten Prodigy. and he wants to make a big bang in the sport, and he is going to have a crack at Bozhidar Simeonov.
Yeah.
But that's an incredibly difficult match to come out of the gates with a guy that hasn't really got any established pedigree. And I wanted to see that what your opinions of that is. You know, how do you see it? How do you view it?
Yeah. So, you know, for me, I think there's a wide array of different types of matches that are possible out there. And I think it's possible to have good amateur matches, to have good elite matches, and to have, you know, maybe some matches where there's a lot of mystery, because it's always interesting when you're like, you got this guy and it's like a Khaled situation. He just comes out of nowhere and people are like, oh my God, he's huge, he's strong, he can't be beaten. Well, you know, most of the time they can be, but it's like, what my question always is what can we get out of it? Of course, if Bowen signs up and does a match with Sasho, of course it's good for the community, because Ryan Bowen knows how to sell shit, right? He's very, very good at doing that. So regardless of if that match is viable or good or not, people are going to buy the pay-per-view. People are going to watch it. And most likely that pay-per-view is going to include other people on the card, which is a better chance for other people to get, you know, a little bit something on it. Now, there's another perspective from the people who are like, do you think I'm stupid? This is going to be a terrible match. I don't want to watch this, because they don't derive the same satisfaction that I do out of the story that Ryan will create. That's what I look for. I want the lead up. That's why I really like Lachlan versus Todd. There was a good story. There was a good lead up. They were both very confident. At the end of the day, I'm not so worried about the finish, but I enjoyed the ride. And I think Ryan, somebody will clip this, Ryan always gives people a hell of a ride. Whether you like it or not,
the other day when
it's
you
happening.
Yeah,
I like that line, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, we'll be clipping that. It's going to get clipped all over the place, that one, I can tell you. But yeah, let's go to Ray. I'm going to be the only guy in this camp, I can tell. Go on, Ray. What's your feeling on that?
I love the good old days when, you know, toughest guys on the planet met in the tournaments, and then if number 2, 3, 4 wanted to arm wrestle in a super match, they did. But we're living in different era, you know, era where the popularity brings in the views. I just don't think, if you like, you know, if you take the toughest challenges all the time and you think there's something like, well, I'm warrior, I did my best, I tried, and you keep failing, people at some point will like, well, you're not that good, you're full of shit, and this is not the Ryan. I'm just telling how I feel, because we will have these matches. The problem for me is, will the champ get something out of it? So the champ went to tournaments, he had super matches, he established himself, he beat all the people he beat. He arrived to the pedigree that he has arrived. The other guy wants kind of, you know, I'll have this guy and I'll take pretty much that he's the top guy. I'll take him and use it for myself. If the top guy gets paid money for it, that's where I see it. If you get something in return, you know, like Sasho has no problem beating anyone if they pay him. You know, I think that makes sense. Yeah, you can have match whoever you want and you can sell it however you want, but the top guy needs to get paid because you're trying to make something from him. Does it make sense? I don't know if I said it correctly, but I think everyone understands the message.
Yeah,
and it is exactly how it is. Why would you look for the toughest matches and not go to the World or Zloty or tournaments and try to win it there? But you will have these matches and you set up these matches because you want to, like, the fame aspect. The problem comes arm wrestling reality. I've been in arm wrestling for a long time. I have been to the biggest tournaments every year. I have seen them sit there. I have watched thousands of matches. I have experienced. Neil has done it like 4 times longer. And we know that almost never they succeed. Coming out of gates, someone who hasn't really established himself, beating a world champ. And I said it yesterday when we were talking, there's a big difference between 2 champs. One is that tricky bastard and one is strong bastard. When you're
the optimum scale of arm wrestling on earth.
That's the optimum scale. And when you're just coming out from nowhere and you want to be this champ and he's a tricky bastard, there's a chance, because tricky bastards have lanes. When he's a strong bastard, pretty much no lanes. Pretty much like with Todd, so strong, it doesn't matter what you do. He's just too strong. And there's so many of these. And I think we're just going to see more and more of these kind of matches. I have no problem with them, but the champ needs to get paid.
Yeah, I agree. 100% he does. And to give you an insight as to why I've taken the path I have, it's because 9 years ago when I started arm wrestling, I said to myself, I want to make this a career. And I looked around and said, okay, there's very few career opportunities as an athlete within arm wrestling. If you are the top guy in the world, you might. And at the time, I wasn't even sure. I thought, well, if you're John Brzenk, you might be making enough to call it a living. And I think John's always had a job. So, and for the most part, that's always been the case. If you're going through tournaments and you're just in the natural ecosystem of arm wrestling, there's no career. So I identified straight away that, okay, I need to incorporate a media presence and a business. And I created at the start, I had a supplement store and I started creating media, and that evolved into a retail arm wrestling specific retail store. And obviously my internet presence is growing. The reason I pick out matches is because for the very simple reason that I have the goal of I want to progress as fast as I can. And tournaments aren't necessarily accessible for me. They're on the other side of the world. I can't get to them for whatever reason. I've got to be here for my kids. So I took the model of, all right, well, I don't have the ability, like Justin Bishop was the first one I did it for. I don't have the ability to get to a tournament in the USA. It's cheaper and more effective for me to offer an all expenses paid trip for Justin to Brisbane, Australia. And I get to experience the international level straight away. And yeah, I film it all and whatnot, and it helps grow the media presence. It achieves multiple goals. Justin was happy, he got a trip, and he was paid to be there. And I've always done that. I did the same thing. And then I've tested it out with like, oh, let's go overseas to the bottom eight. Let's go to overseas to Chance. I put money on the table for Chance. There was nothing out of Chance's pocket. I came to his hometown, put $500 on the table for the winner.
I think that's different, though, Ryan, because Chance was a good match.
Yeah, but I'm saying that was in his hometown, so he didn't get paid because it was in his hometown, and I came to him. Yeah. But I did offer Chance that same time. I said, "Do you want to come to Brisbane, and I'll fly you here?" But it was working out that I was going there as the option. So I agree, but I agree with the champ's got to get paid. Absolutely, the champ's got to get paid, and as business grows, it gets easier and easier to offer the champs real money. Like that's the thing now. I'm at the point with my business where I can offer someone like Sasha or whatever a trip to Australia and pay him to be here, and why wouldn't he do it? That's the thing. It's not a Zloty tour, it's not a WAF title, it's not recognition, but yeah, if he's getting a trip and he's getting paid,
yeah,
and it's a win for me because yes, content grows and momentum builds. It's also a win for me as an arm wrestler because I get to experience what it feels like to grip that, and I know what drags me up the fastest as an athlete is to feel the genuineness of people above me. It's always been what's made me progress fastest, is to grip up as often as I can with as high a caliber as I possibly can in real starts. Real starts, I learn more from real starts. Real starts tell me the truth compared to practice pulls. So I want the real starts.
On a little different page in some respects from that though, Ryan, in that in all honesty, mate, I feel like if the guy's way out of your level, I get all of the beneficial from a PR perspective, beneficial from a show perspective, but I do think you don't learn as much if you're just getting slow.
Oh, yeah.
If a guy's too far above you, you don't learn anything. The only thing is you get it cast iron guaranteed that guy is way above your level. In terms of what you're earning learning on the table, I don't really get that you'll get a great deal from that match. I think it's better to try and work your way up and get that real indication of your level. And my only concern for if we're getting into a trend of just setting up matches and everybody showing how big the balls are by going for the hardest man they can, like, okay, next week I'm going to pull Levan. To me, it's a boring match for the arm wrestling community because I'm just nowhere near that level.
For me, the problem might be when people do not turn in anymore because they I will beat this guy, I will destroy this guy, and you get let up.
Yeah. And
if you look at it, if you look at the
point, we've got to be careful that if you're putting on matches that are pay-per-view matches or putting on matches that we're hyping up big time, I do think that we need to be mindful as an arm wrestling community to not kill what we're trying to create. I think it's
for sure. Well,
to put on good matches.
The Todd and Lachlan pay-per-view was actually born from Travis's request. I've never actually hosted yet a pay-per-view event other than this one. Travis requested he wanted this one to be a pay-per-view, and he asked me to do it. And I said, yeah, sure, I can do it. I'll have a crack. And I think it was tremendously successful in terms of the amount of people that viewed it. We had like 2,100 people roughly that actually viewed it in total. So it was a tremendous success in terms of putting money back into the sport. That said, I get your point. And like usually the model, like if you look at Australia's last 5 years, we've brought Devon out multiple times, Matt Mask out, Giannis out, and Travis was due to come out, or we've had Ron Barth. Every time those guys have come out, with the exception of Giannis and Matt, they had a super match when they got here. It was the first thing they did was they had a super match with our best guy that was appropriately weight. Ron Barth pulled Brett Coots and Ryan Scott. Devon pulled Lachlan in 2018. Devon pulled the first. Devon pulled. John Brezent came out and pulled. He pulled everyone in that crowd pleasing king of the table. So we've always kicked it off with, if we're going to bring someone out here for a seminar, or if we're going to bring someone out here to learn from, which would be the case with the Bulgarians, for instance. If I bring out Sasha and Bojidar, the main purpose of that trip will be to host a Bulgarian seminar where everyone in Brisbane and the rest of Australia can travel to Brisbane and learn from these guys and gain from their expertise. But if they're coming over for a reason such as that, I think it's a missed opportunity not to let them tee off and show us how dominant they are or whatever, and have a match with our best guy at that weight as the kickoff.
I think
and to host the tournament with it.
Mate, if we get into a situation where we're hyping it up and selling that out to the wider community as a good thing for them to tune into, for the non-arm wrestling fans, I'm not on that train. I just don't get it. All of the stuff about them coming over and doing all of that, I get it. I endorse it 110%. That's all cool and it's all positive.
If Sasha comes out and he and I have a super match, it's not going to be hyped up. It's not going to be pay-per-viewed. It's going to be literally Sasha and I having a super match as casual as the one that Marcus and I had the other day. It won't be some massive mega event like an Arm Wars. Like here it is. It'll be a in the seminar before it kicks off. Ryan and Sasha are going to throw down, and we'll see what happens. And like people tuning into that need to understand that context, and that's what the context of it would be, and that's good for. That's good for viewership, and that helps the sport. I can't imagine why it wouldn't.
That makes sense.
Well, and a lot of the time, even when these matches are going to be good matches and they are hyped to the extreme, it's already happening, right? I mean, was John and Devon a good match? Was Devon and Michael a good match?
I think Devon and Michael was a potentially good match.
Yeah.
I think there's an accident and there's something you did on purpose. It's like, what shall I put my dick into? This vice or this woman? I know which I'm going for. One of them, it can be a bad experience, but it's probably not going to be. But don't take the vice, because that's going to be bad. There's no way that works out good. So I just think we've got to have a little bit of logic and sense to it to a degree. And if we're continually selling in matches that I think are poor, it will come back to bite us in the ass as a sport. That's just my, that's my opinion on that one. I don't know. As I say, I might be the only guy that's in that camp. I don't know.
So tell me then, was Lachlan and Toddzilla a match that shouldn't have happened because of that?
No, I think Lachlan and Toddzilla wasn't actually a bad example. That could have been interesting. I couldn't see personally where that lane could be, but Lachlan wasn't a great deal of distance off him in some areas. Just not as good an arm wrestler and not quite as strong. And a small difference in strength can appear huge if it's in the same spot, But I do believe that we're getting to a situation where there are more and more examples of that coming, where we're throwing out matches that not necessarily thought through. You know what I mean? And I'm just concerned about that a little bit. I think we need to just have an awareness of it and not set it up just on names, or that this guy's got some kind of notoriety and he's going to pull this guy who's an absolute serial killer. It doesn't make sense. You know, we got to try to think, okay, is this guy really at that level? Is this person really at that level? And if they are, then cool, go with it. If it's got enough notoriety, brilliant, fine. But I think wherever we can, we should try to make good matches.
Neil, pickup is RVJ versus Ryan Bowen one of those matches?
RVJ versus Ryan Bowen, I personally believe is not. I do think that there is a potential that Ryan Bowen can win the match. I don't see it. I think that RVJ is going to win the match, but that's not a crazy match. In many ways, that's not a crazy match.
But this match is not about, to me, Bowen RVJ is not about the outcome. A lot of people think it's about the outcome because they want to be like, yeah, Ryan, I told you from the beginning. But it's not what it's about. It's about finishing this book, this chapter of the book. It's about coming full circle with all the nonsense that has come around that. And there's value in that. So that's where I stick to my guns of, you can have matches that maybe we know they're not going to be great, but if there is value for the viewer, and I'm not saying this is right or wrong, but this is probably the future. If there's value for the viewer, it's probably going to happen, because it'll just be up to promoters at that point in time.
I personally believe, honestly, that Ryan's best opportunity in the RVJ match is the time spent between now and March. For real. It's like the old situation with Muhammad Ali and George Foreman. And if you speak to George Foreman now, he'll constantly say that he was beat before he got in the ring. And I honestly believe that the way that Ryan gets under Rob's skin and winds him up, and that Rob is a different character. He's a guy that can show up and be a world beater, or he's a guy that can show up and be not quite that good. And that, for me, is Ryan's best opportunity in the whole thing, is to try to unpick Rob from the sort of...
I don't need to unpick him. He will unpick himself, Neil.
He's already on it. So Ryan obviously agrees that that's his best scenario, and I think that's going to be his biggest angle. I think it comes down to just straight arm wrestler A against arm wrestler B. He's going to be struggling. We'll see. We'll see, won't we? But I don't know. Anyway, let's knock over a couple of super chats real quick. First of all, I've got to say that there are some unbelievable super chats. Mr. Percolate 80 with another massive super chat. Nothing on there, mate. Unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. That's going into supporting Reality Check. Excuse me, Iron House. But we're putting that towards the Arm Wars event, so that's awesome. Thank you so very much for your support, mate. Very much appreciated. Tremendous. What can I say about that? The dude's an absolute slayer. And that is the record super chat that I've ever received on the channel. It's a fact. So not a great deal I can say about that. That's absolutely outstanding. Let's have a look. I mean, just what I was saying there, you know, I don't expect everybody to necessarily be as passionate about it or motivated to that line as I am. That's always run sort of deep in the way that I set out what I try to do in arm wrestling, if I'm perfectly honest. It always has been, you know. I want to put on the best matches. I'm trying to put on a show that people, if you're a non-arm wrestler and you walk in and you watch that arm wrestling match, that you want to see more arm wrestling. That's the way I've always tried to script what we do, to put together things in the most entertaining matches possible. And Arm Wars has built its ethos on that. That's what we do. You know, I'm going to continue to try to do that. It doesn't necessarily have to be about the biggest names, but it will be match led. That's the way we try to do it. And based on what we saw at Reality Check, was a little bit of rust there because we'd not seen guys as active for a long period of time. But I think people who were at the event will agree there was a lot of very good matches went on at that show. You know, I'm hoping that Engin's East versus West can throw up some screamers as well. I'm hoping that's the case. There's some, from a purist arm wrestler perspective, if you're not the guy that's a non-arm wrestler and you're just a complete purist in the sport, Jesus, you're going to be so excited about that card. Because in terms of the names and the people on there, wow. It's
but
absolutely...
they should be good matches, right? They should be good. But last time, not all the matches should have been good too, but they were not.
I think it doesn't matter if all the matches end up in 3 seconds. We have Gennady versus Michael.
Yeah, that one's not going fast.
Couple of super chats. Joe Mama, $1,000 on John Lefty versus Redbeard. So that's you, John.
Fair enough.
Uncle
I'll
John.
take it. I'll take it.
Chris Gobby did beat my left arm, so
fair enough. So NWUK1. Hi, gents. Any chance these videos could be converted to podcasts, please, so I can listen while I'm driving? Ryan,
I haven't done that in a long time. I might sit down and put everything we did. I think we put like 40 shows there.
I know you did, didn't you?
Yeah.
It's on Spotify. Yep, the old ones.
I have to check. I haven't been there for a long time.
So Joe Mama with a nice super chat for Ryan. He's put Ryan's wife said he can never last the full 30 seconds.
Doing what? What are you doing?
30 seconds, right? I needed to watch this show. I missed it. And Henry Boweslow here with a very well-timed super chat. He's put, Mr. Perkley 80 is Neil's wife's boyfriend. Well, that kind of money probably can be. The last one, V. Poge. Devon is a guy who will pull anyone, a WWE guy, a bodybuilder, a football player, a strongman, etc., but he doesn't ask us to pay money to see it. So another major fan of Devon there. But I think there's a degree of promotion in there, and what Ryan's saying about the way that he's self-promoting himself, 100% buy into that. You know, obviously that's the way that Ryan makes his living, so it's a very effective way of promoting yourself. The only point that I was making is that going forward, I think we do have a sort of duty of care to try and put on the best matches we can, in terms of arm wrestling promotion. Exciting matches, interesting matches, but particularly the big ones, I think we've got to try and make them exciting for the new guys out there, Anyway, probably bored the living out of everybody on that point, so I'll let it lie. So, guys, next big thing, what's coming around the corner in arm wrestling? We've got East versus West right around the corner. One of the most exciting matches for you on there, Ray. You're going to be over there.
Yes. I have very busy schedule for the first 3 months of 2022. We'll start with Arm Wars, then East versus West, then Kirsten's in Malta, then Norway, Engin versus John, and then something more, but that's for later.
And what kind of shape are you in for Arm Wars Ironhouse, mate? Are you coming over? Are you getting much chance to work hard? Are you in good nick right now?
I haven't skipped a day. I think I skipped a day when I got my booster shot. Yeah.
So we're going to see at least as strong as we did at Reality Check.
I should be better because I spent like a whole month on just repairing myself. Hey, my left is good. I cannot press, but my top roll is very good. I can arm wrestle everywhere. If you give me a match, I take that match. Yeah.
Tremendous. Well, you're going to be a busy boy over there. Obviously, you're in a 4-man battleground. Going to be pretty brutal. I wanted to just come back to one of the comments that was asked earlier on because I didn't finish it off. Ryan, what was your opinion of RVJ versus Lachlan? Which I should have asked you earlier on as part of that.
If it got to be heavy RVJ, then RVJ. So Lachlan's what 250 at the moment. So if RVJ was, I think, what he's around 230 or whatever at the moment, maybe even 235. I think this current heavy version of RVJ would be a match with Lachlan. Absolutely. I think stylistically, the big hand, it'd be something where Lachlan would need to get to the strap. I think if Lachlan got to the strap, he'd have far better likelihood of containment of the pronation of RVJ. If it was out of strap, it'd be RVJ's. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. The old styles make matches thing. And the other one that I wanted to just mention to Ray was, from what you saw from Lachlan this weekend, and I know that's difficult because we didn't learn a great deal from it stylistically, but if you're sort of, because I know he's doing the Latvian program, you guys have been managing him, you've been looking after him and advising him, what would your advice be going forward for Lachlan in terms of who he should pull next, what would be the next logical step in his career from your perspective?
Tournament.
Okay.
Pull as many tournaments as you can, and have a super match versus a mid-pack guy, mid-pack 110 kilo guy. Well, you cannot learn much if you get blasted all the time, and we don't. I don't have like, give me zero data again, zero data.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about Raimonds Antonovic?
Raimonds?
Match or not a match with Lachlan?
They're a different weight. They're a grossly different weight, aren't they? I mean,
yeah, but
No,
they're not grossly different. But Antonovic is strong as balls.
Oh,
We've just seen it. I mean, my God.
man, if it's a super match, if it's more than 3 rounds, it's a long day for Lachlan's hand, right? Raimonds gonna work it, and Raimonds in the shape that he was with Petrenko. You know, Petrenko might be in how he defeated everyone in Zloty Tour, the #1 guy.
I just think that's a silly match. If we're talking mid-pack, go the same weight. Go the same weight as Lachlan.
Yeah, I agree. But okay, he asked the question.
Yeah. No, I'm addressing Neil, answering Neil kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a silly match at all. I think it's a really interesting match.
Yeah.
That's my personal opinion. I'd like to see, if you're looking at guys and weight's not the first governing factor, if you're just looking for a solid match, I find that quite interesting. I think we'd learn a lot more about Lachlan in that match.
That's a different challenge.
I think Lachlan would be the stronger man. Raimonds would have a set of tools that would cause a problem over time, and it would force Lachlan to have to problem solve. So
yeah, exactly that.
I agree. Yeah.
And Antonovic is got tremendous weaponry. He's like a walking tiger. Guy's built with incredible weaponry for the sport of arm wrestling, but he's not blisteringly quick at all. He's the guy that's going to walk through you and just try and boss and bully the position because he's built to do that. So that gives an opportunity for Lachlan to potentially find his path, find a lane. And I think it asks a lot of questions of him, you know. Yeah. So from just an entertaining match, I mean, I think that could be very interesting because I can see both men having a clear lane to victory. You know,
yeah, I think it can go both ways. I really think so. Because Lachlan going to be the bigger guy for sure. I think Raimonds maybe 102 kilos off season. That was something bigger.
Yeah, I mean, the type of guy that everybody would say, okay, well, that makes sense from a just stylistically, would be someone like Curtis Cameron. You know, that kind of guy who's just recently we've seen that he's been on a bit of a tear and he's getting really, really strong. You know, perhaps someone like Mega Mike, that kind of guy that's on the rise. That'd probably be interesting. But,
I'd actually like to see Mike Aiello again, just to get a measure. If knowing that they faced in 2018, it'd be fascinating to see them go again.
Yeah, I 100% I won that match.
Yeah, just to see it again. So let's knock over a couple of these super chats. Morton Eriksson, thanks for your super chat, mate. He's put Neil, Frode Hoagland versus Ryan, both prepared. Who wins? Great show. Cheers, Morton. I like that match. I think it's good. I would lean towards Frode, just on endurance and the fact that he doesn't know when he's beaten, can pull from absolutely any position under the sun. But an interesting match. Very interesting match. Again, I can see lanes for both guys. I can genuinely see lanes for both guys. Ray, how would you see that one? Frode versus Ryan.
I'll give an edge to Frode just because it's Frode, but I think it's a good match.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Screamer.
I'd like to make.
Screamer.
Yeah.
I feel whatever Ryan's saying, that he's just gonna supinate, he's gonna take that hand and run away with it as far as he can. I can see it Frode holding on like this.
Yeah, Frode's an experience for sure. He really, really is. He's a very, very unique individual to pull against. But I like that match.
I don't think he's that good.
Nah, bit of a bump.
I personally, I never seen him doing anything interesting, you know.
Yeah, he's better than Adrian Popescu, though. At least got fundamentals.
Adrian hasn't no fundamentals.
Not down fundamentals
at all.
I mean, you can't. It's all right winning everything you enter, but no fundamentals. Need that. So Big Grove Goats with a super chat. Ryan versus RVJ better have better audio. That was a piss poor production. This goes to show the difference between what Arm Wars is doing versus the rest. To be fair to the rest,
he made 3 big mistakes. First of all, it's going to be on King of the Table, so Ryan is not doing it. Arm Wars are not live.
No, it's post.
Yeah, and this was the first time.
Very different.
Chill, guys. Chill.
Yeah, it is very different doing it live and doing it post. But thanks for the
and naturally, we sound checked and everything prior, but we didn't sound check with a crowd screaming and Travis on a mic. That was the major problem, and Travis and Chance's camera couldn't handle it. So we know now that if we do that again, we need dedicated audio sound that is going to be able to handle that degree of peaking, and it'll improve. That's the nature of the beast.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, the first time that you've ever done it, and obviously it was successful, which that's great, because it does open up more opportunities, and it's good that those things are going on because it gets more options. There's a lot of arm wrestlers out there, and there's a lot of arm wrestlers that people want to see. So the more active we can make the sport and the more realistic, solid matches we can put on, the better, as far as I'm concerned. It gives that outlet where we can judge people, measure people. Because a lot of guys out there that are pretty solid that we're not seeing. You know, guys are doing really well, and we don't see them. There's only so many cards. Most big cards have only got a few matches on. I mean, the King of the Table stuff, we're talking 3-4 matches. Apart from East versus West, where there's 375 matches on a single day. But outside of that, 417 matches on a single day. But most people would like to see, like the UFC, they'd like to see big matches every week. I know I would. So yeah, roll on. Ordinary Gamer with a super chat. Oh God, we're only going to be on here for 10 minutes. This could be big. Do you guys realistically think Devon has a chance against Levan? He's going to be a serial killer in the next few months to prepare for that match. I'm going to hand this over to John, first of all, and you can jump in first as a resident Canadian on the call, mate.
Yeah, as a resident Canadian and as someone who has, completely supported Devon in the past, I will say that I can acknowledge that Devon certainly is the underdog. And at the same time, I can tell you confidently that Levan Sagnashvili does not have a snowflake's chance in hell against Devon Larratt. Devon Larratt is going to come in big. He's going to come in strong, and Georgia is going to find out what maple syrup is really all about. Is that clear enough?
I think that about did it. Ryan, let's go to you, mate.
I think the position Devon's in is very similar to the position I'm in against RVJ. So I can understand what Devon's having to go through in preparation for this. He's facing a man that is quite clearly stronger than him. But Devon is a master of all the things wizardry that arm wrestling can be. When I first heard about this match, I put out the Doctor Strange 1 in 16,804 or whatever it is that Doctor Strange had to find in the alternate realities to defeat Thanos, and it's much like that. But if anyone is Doctor Strange in the arm wrestling world and capable of finding that one reality, it's Devon. He is the man that you sit there and watch Devon looking up into the stars thinking, after having been in the sport for 28, 30 years, whatever it is, and he's still searching for improvements. He's still saying, I think I've missed something. So Devon is the kind of guy that could, despite being the weaker man. And it's because of his in-depth approach to it. Maybe he'll stand on a riser and that'll change it. Maybe he'll throw something out. Like, I don't know. He'll do something weird. Actually, hell, I think I'm going to stand on a riser against Rob. Actually.
I hope they've got high ceilings.
But yeah, I think it's possible. It's not probable, but it's possible.
Rolly Ray.
Ignoring the riser thing.
What do you think? We should take bets on risers, whether he goes for a riser. I will full on be amazed.
I think I'm going to start trading on a riser. I want to explore this.
If Ryan said he goes for a riser, there's no chance he goes for a riser.
Just killed that. He was Devon will be at home now thinking,
yeah.
You bastard.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for a riser.
You know what Devon's really waiting for? He's like, please, Ryan make a prediction and say that no chances Levan's going to destroy, and he's like, yes, I win. You know, there's always a chance. We never know. And I think it will come down to how good prepared Devon will be. I think it's going to be like he's on a mission for 6 months just to prepare for this. Absolutely believe he will do everything in his power to show up with the best form, best shape, best game plan he can be. And that gives a chance, however you look at it. But it all comes down for me, it's always the strength gap. If the strength gap is close, long matches, Devon wins long matches. But if the strength gap is nowhere close, then the victory is nowhere close too.
I think the other important point that I'd like to throw into the mix on this one is I've known Devon for a very, very long time, but I'm genuinely not sure that I've ever met the guy that'll show up that much. I think that speaking to Devon, he sees this as his legacy moment. This is the one. And knowing what Devon is all about, the whole mission before self attitude, I think that he will go as far and as deep as he can possibly go this time. And that's an interesting thing. It'll be nice to see how he settles mentally. I do think that in my opinion, he's facing the summit of arm wrestling in Levan Saganashvili, and potentially certainly as high as we've ever seen the sport taken, in my opinion. I think Levan is exceptional. I think he's gone very, very deep into the available options to get to where he is. I also think the guy can arm wrestle better than he's given credit for. I think he's quite explosive, quite quick. And I also think he's highly intelligent at the table. I think he wrestles really intelligently and uses a lot more guile than people give him credit for. So I do think that Levan is seriously dangerous, and I do see him as a favourite. But I think that the frame of Devon and the tenacity of Devon always gives him a chance. I also think that the spectrum of technique that Devon possesses gives him a chance as well. I think that gives him an opportunity. He's got to put on some top end, in my opinion. He's got to be a stronger man to be able to put the brakes on Levan. That's how I see that going down. But yeah, I think it's going to be a very, very interesting 6 months. Very interesting 6 months. And I'll be quite keen to see when Devon does get his head down again and start grinding to get to where he needs to be. And also when Levan does, because I know the last videos I saw of Levan, he looked like he'd sort of was on some rest as well, that he'd stepped away from the sport a little bit, which is understandable. It'll be interesting to see where he gets to. So I hope both guys stay injury-free and are able to come into that match with absolutely all guns blazing. And if they do, I hope it delivers on the hype, because I don't think there'll have been a more hyped arm wrestling match in the history of the game than we're going to see for this. I really think it's going to be hyped through the frigging roof. You know, I know probably everybody on this call is going to do their very best to make sure that it is, you know, so we'll see. And it'll be interesting to see. Sorry, go, John.
The split right now in all the polls I've been doing with thousands of votes is like 50-50 in the community of who's picking what side they're going on. So regardless of what's right and what's wrong, the community is as split as you can possibly be.
That surprises me, actually. I'm surprised not more people aren't going for Levan. At this point in time, stop the clock, I would say that Levan's certainly a good...
There's always the people who vote who they want to win. Mm-hmm. Even though you ask who do you think will win, there's always the who do you want. And Devon still has the biggest fan base, so yeah.
But if you asked Devon, if you said, where do you see yourself, he'd put himself as an underdog, I would imagine.
Yeah.
You know, I would imagine. But yeah, let's see. Let's see what can be achieved. It's an exciting prospect. And it's for once, it's a no-lose situation for Devon, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Going to get tremendous notoriety. You can't really lose. you know, because certainly I think the guys on the inside of the sport, very few will give Devon the realistic chance of the win based on what we've seen to date. And I'd like to know how strong the guy that we saw Paul Michael was. And I'd like to know how much above and beyond that Devon can go. I wonder. We'll see, won't we? So Morton Eriksson with a super chat. He's put, Neil, if you want the match, then make it happen. I'll be ringside with a beer, and I'll also have another one for you, Ray. Thanks very much for your super chat, mate. Really appreciate it. Big Grove Goats. Travis took so much shit in the last few weeks. That match broke my heart as a Travis fan. Yeah, it was kind of a weird thing when it got to the third round. You know, when the match ended, and you've got to give Brandon Alcessa all the credit in the world for digging in and hanging on and putting Travis into a bad spot there. I was like, is that it? It was quite a weird match in some ways. You know, it was, I don't know. I think Travis is showing a lot of ring rust. That's what I would say. He was showing a tremendous amount of ring rust. Nowhere near the guy that he used to be, which is understandable. Sap the B with a super chat. Please hold your super chats now, guys, because we are going to jump off here in a moment. We've been on for like an hour and a half.
Send them all in. Send them all in.
So Sap the B with a super chat. He's put, Ryan was saying before the match in his live stream that Lachlan is too much for Zoloyev. Does he still think the same? Zoloyev at 88 kilos versus 113 kilos. Lachlan.
Zoloyev, given the update we got yesterday, Zoloyev clearly the favourite. Given what Zoloyev did to Todd, the speed of Zoloyev and that high pressure that he could put, I think he would out-rotate Lachlan and turn him palm up. So Zoloyev would win.
Ordinary Gamer with a super chat. I want to see Devon go in a deep hook with Levan. Yeah, if he could get him there. Well.
It'd have to be really, really, really deep.
Yeah, and getting him there might be a task in itself. Yeah. Levan can hit. NWUK1. Is it going to drive you nuts answering Devon Levan questions for the next 6 months? Who wins, Monster Michael Todd or Gennady Quickvenia? For me, Monster Michael Todd is a heavy favourite in that match. He's extremely awkward, stylistically very, very, very tough to beat. And I think that there are some issues in Gennady's wrist. Gennady's a tremendous arm wrestler, but if there's any sort of opportunity for that wrist to be busted back, I think MMT does it. And yeah, once the burn goes into you from Michael, he can do that all day, every day, and he can hang in there for a long period of time. And what we've seen recently from Gennady there, that he did have a few endurance issues. And once that wrist was compromised, he was struggling a little bit. So, yeah. Does
anyone here see a Gennady win?
No.
I do not.
No way.
No. I'd be very, very surprised if he.
On this sad note, we're gonna end the show.
Yeah. On this somber note, we will draw an end to the fix number 89. Ladies and gents, before you do jump off, I want to say thank you very much to each and every one of you for taking the time to tune in and check us out. Just before we go, I want to just give a big mention to our new channel sponsor, and I want to ask all of you to go over there and sign up to ARMWRESTLINGForums.com. For those hardcore arm wrestlers on the show, I know that you'll remember the good old days of the Arm Wrestling Internet Forum. Great opportunity for you to go on there and to chat live about arm wrestling, about everything that's going on, whether it be tournaments, matches, questions, talking about techniques, advice. And a lot of the best arm wrestlers in the game are going to be in these forums. Get yourself over there. Check it out. Get yourself signed up. Particularly for you new lads, it's going to give you a great opportunity to find out new things in the sport as well. And those of you that just want to talk arm wrestling all day, this is a place you can do that. You can get involved. If you like the kind of thing we do here on The Fix, when we're just bouncing around the sport, what's new in the sport, what's old, what's gone, what's still to come. ARMWrestlingForums.com is going to give you that opportunity. I think probably everybody on the call here is already involved in that. Please get over there, support them, and make that thing tick and kick off, because it's a great opportunity for everybody to just keep the sport in the focus. John, I know they're doing something with you as well, mate.
Yeah, they're actually a sponsor of my channel for this month. I did a big, great help in actually helping me get to Arm Wars at the end of the month. So they are my premier as well, and I'm over there. I'm signed up. I'll answer your questions, and now is the time. If you guys really want to get direct answers from, you know, an idiot like me, I'm there. So ask me a question, and I will answer it.
Some of the best arm wrestlers in the game are going to be in there, as I say, guys. Get yourself over. Armwrestlingforums.com. Tremendous outlet there for you guys to go on, talk yourself sick on arm wrestling. It's not on YouTube, not on Facebook. This is something completely separate. It's an individual, unique entity, and I think it's got great potential to really ignite the sport again. So please go over, check them out. Link's going to be in the description for this show, and we'll give you some information in there as well. Again, guys, please, if you're not subscribed to my guest channels, please go over to the Voice of Arm Wrestling. Sign up to Rolly Ray. If you want to get advice on how to become a great arm wrestler, you'll not find a better place on YouTube than the Voice of Arm Wrestling. This guy also does training. If you want to get into the sport, he will support you in that environment as well. Secondly, Ryan Blue Bowen. If you're not aware of Pound for Pound, you've been living under a rock, go over there. You can get pretty much everything from merchandise through to equipment. He's just launched a brand new handle that's come out. Everything you need, straps, you name it, you can get it from Pound for Pound. So get over there and sign up to Ryan Blue Bowen. Last but by no means least, Uncle John in the Mother Fluffing House. You're going to see him in action, Arm Wars Iron House, in a couple of weeks' time. He comes over and he's going to be a very busy guy there. So please get over there and support Uncle John's arm wrestling channel. Last but I want to give it a little bit of a mention. I know I do it all the time. Please help us out with the Arm Wars channel, guys. The new Arm Wars channel has launched. It's underway. We're churning out the short films now. If you haven't been over there and checked them out, please do so. They come out every Friday. I think next Friday's show is going to be John Thompson. We've got a number of great... And the week after, it's Rolly Ray. So, guys, get over to the new Arm Wars channel. Please like, share, subscribe. And until we see you next time here on Supernatural Strength Channel, take it easy, peeps. Biggity bomb.